Went through the really early part. So basically, you're saying you want to gank mid this game. Side lanes are like somewhat gankable, but not generally a focus.
I want to make sure that we're
So
gonna put even more behind.
I'm gonna meet the VOD because
Yeah, it's fine.
it's too hard to focus on everything when the VOD is talking and I get just ask. But yeah, so that's what you said for the other game. So you're starting bottom. Okay, this is fun. So basically, Caitlyn Morgana is basically any Caitlyn lane you can kind of just count on to push in early. Only times they won't push in early is if they leash you and the enemy jungler doesn't get a leash, but that rarely happens because almost everyone just starts bot side by default. And happens again this game, so you know he's starting bot side. Clearing upwards. Skipped Gromp, did Wolves, so I'm assuming you're just going to go straight to the red buff here, which is fine if you have a gank in mind, but if you don't, then it's going to be a bit rough because you're going to have the two harder camps for Jax on the same side. So looking at top, check out middle two, middle's pushing in, so it's going to be pretty limited options here if you're looking for a gank and not a counter. Basically, really only top, but even that looks like it's pushing in. Smite this. Okay, it's fine. Walk in the river, don't have the blast plan anymore, so you have to just walk straight in. That's fine. Pinging it. You see Warwick. Immediately jump on him. Okay. Oh, you're using PTA, okay. Word place, that's all. Okay. You have control of river now. Walk past a ward, so looking for that gank isn't really good use of time. Going back to rafters, that's fine. Okay, just clearing. Can't really go for the scuttle too safely if you use E, the warrior can see you. Doing this first, that's fine. Don't really have too much, it's just top lane once again. Mid lane, not really gonna happen. Just not push enough. Okay. Yeah, this is alright, so this is a pretty common thing. When you go for ganks that don't happen quickly, you need to have in your mind like where is the enemy jungler, and this is why like paying attention to where the enemy jungler starts is so important. So let's just go all the way back to the very beginning, where we realized that bot lane is coming in, or both bot lanes leashed, okay? Right, because they get there at the same time right around now. So right now in your head, you know, okay, he's mirroring my start. He's on the red buff. We both got about the same leash, both clear, relatively the same speed. So if I do 3 camp, he will likely meet me there. So in your head, you should be like, okay, he's walking to wolves right now, walking to wolves. You finish your red buff, and he's basically right around the same time as you. And so when you walk into the river here, you should be 100% ready for him to be here. And lo and behold, he's here. So all this shit happens, you know, he walks away, you guys get into a fight, you're about to save HP. And the important thing here is he walks downwards, and basically that means he's probably going to rafters. And you know this because had he been wanting to go to Gromp, he would have just walked down and to the left. And it would have been really, like, you would have known that. But he's walking straight down a wave, which means one of two things. He's recalling or he's going to the rafters. So you go to your rafters here. This is all fine. But then you go for this mid gank. And what happens here is just a very common thing. And it's also the reason why when you path in the jungle, you always want to end you always want to start at the outer parts of your camps and clear inwards, because when people get really greedy for ganks like this, whereas like it's a gank that doesn't get executed quickly. Can you kill him if you long chase? Yes, but the thing is, whenever you long chase and you don't know where the enemy jungler is, this shit will happen a lot of times. Especially if the enemy mid laner or whoever laner you're ganking is cheating to one side. The thing about the Malzahar here, in this situation, he could have just walked straight away to the turret the second he saw you, but he deliberately chooses to walk downwards, and that should be a red flag for you every time, because when you gank a lane and he's running the direction that isn't his tower, if the tower is like a pretty viable option to run to, you can almost always assume that he's running to his jungler. And it's an even bigger red flag here that he like turns, that you should like immediately know that like Warwick is there. And there's just so many contextual, like there's so many clues that you can use, like his movement, the way he was playing up, the side he was hugging, and the fact that you know Warwick was last seen walking back down. Like, Warwick isn't going straight to his Krugs when he gets pushed off by you in the river. He's walking downwards. He's got to go to rafters first. And he might not have, like, I doubt that he knew that he's like, oh, yeah, I'm ready. Fuck. I doubt that he knew and he was like, oh, yeah, I'm ready for this counter gank. It was more the fact that, like, like, this gank doesn't go off quickly. Like, if you flash on him here and Zed has, like, his full combo and you just pop him like that, then that's different. But the thing is, like, you have to walk so far to the Malzahar that Warwick could have been, like, walking towards Krugs, and then he sees you show up, and he's like, oh, wow, freest counter gank of my life, because you're just jumping in with no vision, and then it's just the easiest turn of all time. So
I think it could have gone better if my approach was different, because the main thing I felt about that gank was that the approach that I went for, like the direction was bad, because the minions spotted me, and I thought that maybe like if I went through the river, it could have gone better.
it's just, well, the thing is you can't really go through river because that there's a
Would
ward.
that see me if I hugged the wall?
If you hug the wall cleanly, no. But there's a high possibility that the river bush is just warded too, because of where Malzahar steps right around here. Where is it?
Yeah.
Because you show up here, and then he sees you on that ward, and then he walks over into range to put a ward down there.
Yeah, okay.
And it's just, there's no real reason to go for the gank, because your laner, he's catching minions into the turret here. God, I hate YouTube. Your laner's just catching minions under the turret here, and like the way the Malzahar plays it, like it's just way too scary to go for a gank like that. Like, either you're flashing on it instantly and going for the clean one shot, or once he gets out of like immediate like Q range, you just don't bother, because there's just too many ways that this can go wrong, and it's a gank that doesn't really accomplish all that much, even if you get the stun off, because like the chance of killing him is so low even if Warwick isn't here, because he just flashes over the wall. Like, if Warwick isn't here, first off, he doesn't turn back. He just walks away. If you flash on him, he flashes back over the wall and you just trade flashes, but now your position is known. So just all in all, it's just not a very good quality gank to look for.
Should I just done Krugs then and recalled, or what?
Krugs and recall is definitely the best thing you can do here, because that aligns your, when you walk back out, your Gromp will be aligned with your wolf spawn. So it's definitely the best path here. You can also look for scuttle into top lane into Krugs, or just like scuttle into Krugs if you look top lane and is it there, like it's warded or just not gankable. But yeah, mid lane, once like your mid laner, you see him, he's no energy, he's catching waves under turret, down a level, enemy mid laner is healthy. Like, it's just not really worth it. Like, if you knew Warwick, if you had like a ward topside or something and you knew Warwick was on Gromp or something, this is completely fine, because you can just long chase him down or just trade flashes or anything. Like, Zed has a lot of burst damage, like if you get a stun off, then you can definitely follow up from long range. But if you don't know where Warwick is, this is a gank that you just, as soon as you see him walking downwards, this is just, it should be in your head every time. This is a habit you should get into. Like, when they're walking any direction that's like not their turret, then it should just be red flags in your head if you have to long chase the gank. It's just way too scary. It's the same reason if you go top lane on a level 3 timing, like you do buff wolves buff, and you go top lane, and the guy is like, you have to run him down all the way, you just don't bother, because almost every jungler is doing buff wolves buff, and then like the last thing they might be doing is like they'll be doing wolves or something, and then like, or like Gromp, I mean, they'll be doing like Gromp, and then they see you having to chase their top laner for like 10-20 seconds, and they weren't like immediately ready to counter gank, but they're just in the area anyway, and they're always going to be in the area because people are doing buff buff, and you just get counter ganked and you lose the game because losing your double buffs that early for free is just awful. So it ends up going like not the worst in the world because Zed gets a trade kill, but Warwick refreshes double buffs, and if he's actually the wave is okay, he doesn't have to do anything.
The main thing I
So
was thinking after that is that I could just kill Malzahar now over and over because he doesn't have flash and he took ignite too. So.
if you punish it, that's definitely good. But at the end of the day, like you could have just waited for a better opportunity to get the first flash.
Yeah, I was just explaining what I was thinking now.
Okay. So, okay, red's 800 gold. Yeah, you don't really have a good buy here other than red smite here on PTA. Okay. Red smite and control ward. Yeah, red smite's fine this game. Don't really have a huge need for blue smite. It's okay versus Malzahar to get passive off, but not super necessary. Okay, so now you walk down to Gromp. A little bit awkward. The walls will be up a little later after you finish Gromp, assuming you kill it properly. Looks like you will. You can spend that little bit of downtime getting Scuttle instead of waiting for the wolves. So not the worst thing in the world. You can at least walk into the river here. You know the respawn timer on small camps?
2:30.
Okay, good. So you should know right now your wolves are coming up anywhere around 430, 450. Usually varies depending on the quality of leash you got. So walking into straight into mid lane here, okay? This gank is fine. Malzahar is way too push. Flashless. Just walk up. Yep, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't.
I just fucked this up so much.
Yeah, just this is a habit like you've already shown multiple times. Don't queue until they give you like a reason to queue. And basically, sometimes you give your like basically the only time you should be queuing is when you're like out of auto range. Until then, or they like flash obviously, but that's just like another way to get out of auto range. What
Yeah,
you
it's
want
just
to
like
do
I didn't have flash, so I just queued for damage. It's bad, but
just in general, just get into the habit of instead of just like using your gap closer on any champ really. Like if you're a champion like a melee champion who has auto attacks that are relevant, just walk in front of them and keep autoing. Like this is a thing that like almost everyone does. You just press auto attack. What you should be doing is you should be clicking in between and just staying in front of him and autoing and just autoing and autoing and autoing. Because the second you commit to an auto like this, unless they're immediately dead right after, 100%. Like and most times I don't even take the risk when I know they're dead, just because you should be in this habit every time. You don't ever want to just stop auto attack like that. You want to walk forward to them as much as you can and just cut them off from the angle that they want to go to every time and keep autoing them. You want to force them to pick between continually getting autoed or going the direction that they want to go to. And obviously in this instance, his only out is to go towards the tower. And yeah, obviously, like you said it yourself, like you lose flash because you waste your Q and you don't put
actually I didn't
yourself
have
in a
the flash
position.
at all. The red smite was going to finish. Like I flashed after he
Oh
was
yeah,
dead.
that too. You waste your flash for like multiple reasons. Like the only reason you feel the need to flash is because you put yourself in a position where you don't cleanly kill him and you're not able to just run him down with autos. So ends up going fine. You lose your flash, which sucks, but it's just another kill. It's getting really punished now. So it gets a push in here. Before it catches that, he's gonna be super ahead, but what can you do? Okay, so now your path kind of sucks because your Grompa and Wolves are misaligned. It's not the worst in the world, but it's just kind of unfortunate. Skill W here. It's fine. So your rafters are up pretty soon. But you're just gonna take a base here instead of going for anything in the river. That's fine. You can just walk to Krugs here, and then your rafters will be up after Krugs. You just get boots, another control, HP crystal. That's all fine. Okay, so you should just be pathing straight to Krugs here. I know the rafters are up. You should definitely still path to the Krugs. Because Malzahar should be warding left side right now. Yep, warding left side. So you should actually just do Krugs into rafters here. Mainly because the Warwick has a pretty solid EXP lead on you right now because of the double kill middle and the huge wave he absorbed afterwards. You haven't done Krugs at all this game, and top lane you haven't been watching, but based on how the Riven is playing, it looks like the Echo might be diveable before 6. So you can just do Krugs into that and then go down, and it basically opens up a lot of options for you. The reason I'll always stress that when you enter the jungle, after a base or a death, whatever, you should always be going to the outer part of the quadrant of your jungle is basically because it just gives you the most options. Because if you do rafters into Krugs, basically your only play after that is top lane or like a really roundabout way to mid lane or like invading. Whereas like if you do Krugs into rafters, the rafters just puts you in a way better position to do anything. You're still close enough to go to top. You're close enough to go to bottom without losing too much time. Obviously, it's right next to your next camp, which would be wolves if you've aligned your path properly. You have pretty good access into like both sides of the jungle. If you want to invade on a particular side, obviously you can gank middle. Because when you set up your camps in a way that you can just you just enter from one quadrant and you've been pathing properly, it's just so nice because you can do Krugs, look top, not there, okay, go farm rafters, look top, is it not there, okay, look mid, is it there, okay, look bottom, not there, okay, I go to my wolves, then I can look again, top, mid, bottom, all of them are available to me, still nothing, go to Gromp, still nothing, then you can base, and then all your camps are down, and you can pick the easiest lane to go to, or if you want to invade, or if you want to go to an objective, you get to pick after that. But basically, like you're making like pit stops after every camp, and you spend a lot of time in these two camps, the wolves and the rafters next to each other, and they're the camps that are in the closest proximity to everything. So if you at any point see anything open up on the map, then you can go to it without being inefficient. Whereas like if you spend more time on the outer parts, which is what happens if you start by entering onto the rafters or the wolves, then if something like things can open up on the other side of the map that you just can't be for, whether it's a counter gank or you choosing a gank, like you just won't be there because you positioned yourself in a position, you put yourself in a position where you can't access that quickly, and you never want to do that as jungle. Like countering, like no one is like omniscient, like without wards. Like no one just like straight up knows like every single counter gank happening like every time, which is why being able to hedge your bets by like placing yourself in the closest proximity to everything by like spending as much time on this camp and the wolves camp as much as possible is so important. Because like even like as you saw, like the Warwick had no idea you were ganking middle, but he was rafters, so because you spent so much time executing that first mid lane gank, he just showed up. And that's just like something, a benefit you get out of pathing properly and just like starting on the outer and then clearing towards the inner. So top dies here, pings flash. If you haven't been watching top lane like nearly enough, you've been spending so much time in the quadrant. Oh boy, he's level 6. This is really scary. Okay, he just completely wastes his ult. This is a 2v2. You guys can easily win. Okay. Okay, so he just gets flash. Okay. And just walk out here. Ooh, okay. So 2 things I wanted to note here. Or I guess like 3 things really. First thing is whenever you see like your laner really close in proximity to the enemy laner, you should just be instantly watching that. Like, and it's like even more urgent if their HP is low, and even more if you're in a position where you can help. Even if you're not in a position where you can help, you should be watching so you can get note of summoners in your head, because there's definitely a lot of people who don't ping summoners, and you want to be able to know what's up at any point because you're the jungler. So Warwick goes top here, and you have no idea what happens because you don't hit tab at any point during this. You don't look up. You should be knowing like what level Warwick is, if Warwick ulted, if like Warwick flashed, if Echo flashed, if Echo ulted. You have no idea about any of this aside from the Riven pinging Echo flash for you. But you should be looking out for that yourself. And then you end up entering River here, and you have no idea if Warwick has ultimate. Thankfully, he uses ultimate in a probably the worst manner possible, so you get to punish him right after. But you have no idea what he has right here. If you'd been watching top and he had no ultimate, then you could have just went straight on him and just instantly blown him up with Zed here. But you have no idea what he has, and in the situation that you don't know what he has, it's correct to play to just let him go by there, which is good. And then small thing here, it's good that you walk up to him first and you don't consume your Q. It's the first time this game that you've like just like straight up like held your Q really properly, which is good. And then huge mistake here, you never ever want to exit a lane hugging a side unless you're bluffing. Because now it's super fucking obvious what you're doing here. Because if he's been watching your CS, or just like he's been like properly like inferring like what you could do in every stage of the game, then it's really like he knows exactly what you're doing here. Like you make it really obvious. Whenever you exit a lane that minions have vision on you, you want to walk straight away you want to walk in a straight line, or you want to walk in the opposite side that you're actually going to go to until you're out of vision, and then cut back to what you actually want to do. Because this on its own is just a huge dead giveaway of what you're doing. Can he punish you in this instance? No, because you guys just chunked him and got his flash. But in other instances where what happens in this fight, let's just say what happens here is he doesn't miss ult, he chunks Zed, and then you just like put like 200 damage on him, you like stun him, and then you walk away instead of like half chunking him and then him flashing. Like, you just never want to give him this information. Like, even though he can't punish you, he can now still ping, hey, back off mid-bottom side, and you're good top side because he's going into his bot side jungle to farm. And you just never want to give that information for free, especially when you don't have to. So free solo kill here. This means you have an invade timing, and you're taking it. That's fine. Okay, drop your first ward. Good. Ooh, keep going. No, take his red buff. Okay. So, this is, first off, really good awareness to invade here. You have mid priority because Malzahar's dead. Your bot lane's pushing in. They've been pushing in for most of the game. Flashless Warwick, no mana, no ult. He's up a level on you, irrelevant, because in this situation he has no resources. His red buff's up, you know it's up because he doesn't have it. You know he started bot side, so it's up at the same time as your blue. Fucking take it. You're not afraid of anything right now. No one can actually stop you. The Warwick comes, you just kill him. Like you just fucking kill him. He can't contest you. He has like 1 Q worth of mana, or like 1 fear. If he fears you, he has nothing left. You just kill him, or he just walks away from you. He Qs you, you kill him because he has nothing left. You just use your E properly. Once you get slow on HP and starts autoing a bunch. And that's assuming no one on your lanes moves at all when every single lane has priority for you. This is a free red buff take into all of your bot side jungle, and it's actually even better than normal because right now your wolves aren't aligned with your Gromp because earlier you did 1 camp into gank. If you spend extra time doing the red buff, and you take it from him, then take the blast plan out, you take the scuttle, you can do these 2 camps, and then your wolves are up, and then suddenly you've aligned your Gromp and wolves properly again, so you can do a full side clear, or just like 1 quadrant clear, and everything respawns right around the same time, which gives you the option to do what I was talking about earlier, where you can just full clear through, and then you can stop at any point during your full clear and look for something, because you have that option available to you, because your path is set up in a way that every camp will be aligned for you. But you actually don't end up taking the red buff here, and this really sucks because now you have no idea what path the Warwick is going to take, because his whole top side, or like camps from his top side should be up, and camps from his bot side obviously are, like the Krugs are up and the red buff's up, and because you didn't get a ward on the bottom side bush here, you actually don't know where he's going to be going on his next outing, because if he's not an idiot, the proper pathing to the red buff, if he goes there, is just straight out of base through the base gate that dodges your Rafters ward, which is a good ward, don't get me wrong, but it'll dodge the Rafters ward, and if he does Krugs, or if he's just a bit slow out to the red buff, I'm pretty sure your Rafters ward expires by the time he starts crossing back in the topside jungle. So taking the red buff there, and then just like dropping a ward there as well, it's just so much better. It's so much better of a play than what you do here, which is like you see him and you ward, but you just kind of just let him off the hook afterwards when you have all the cards in your hand. You know, like no mid lane to worry about, bot lane is pressured in, and then like the thing is about the scenario where you have full mid lane priority because their mid laner is dead and their enemy jungler is so low on resources. Even if you see the enemy bot lane responding and your bot lane doesn't respond, you can just pull the red buff upwards towards like right here and just clear it from there. And the bot lane can't really get to you, because if you need an outwards exit, you can just jump over this wall to meet up with your mid laner and you're fine, because their bot lane can't run you down. So actually missing out on the red buff here is actually really sad. And the thing is, you should have also use this time to place your control ward aggressively, like on his red buff, even if, like, you should take the red buff here, but if you, for some reason, don't feel safe to take it for whatever reason, then you should at least drop your control on his red buff, because this is a situation where you can get it down aggressively, and what's probably going to end up happening is you're going to do a few camps and then base, and you're just going to buy another one anyway, and while that one might die quickly, it gives you all the information that you want. You know, the thing that people don't understand enough about control wards is that their job is just to see people, and one time is enough. Like, the whole point of a control ward isn't to last 20 minutes. That's like a bonus. The whole point of a control ward is to get knowledge of the enemy jungler or just knowledge of the area. And if you drop it on like the buff bush or just like right outside, so your Rafters ward is covering one entrance to the red buff right here, and your control ward covers the other, and it sees the Warwick, it's done its job even if Warwick sees it immediately and kills it afterwards. Because all you want to know is where Warwick goes after he bases here, and when it tells you that, then its job is done. You can place another one somewhere else. Like, you shouldn't be worried about, like, oh my god, my control ward only had 1 minute uptime, my vision score. Like, that doesn't fucking matter. All you need to know is you've seen him, and then you can play off of that knowledge. So you drop it there, which is normally a fine control ward, but the thing is, like, right now your mid laner has such a huge advantage because you've been heavily pushing mid lane that you can afford to play more aggressively with your control wards because your mid laner is going to get your permanent mid priority because he's so far ahead. So you go do blue buff here before the Gromp, which is completely fine. Clearing it out, doing that normally. Hit the plant downwards, that's fine. Put a little bit of pressure on the bot lane. Do Gromp here. Finally have your level 6, so it's a little bit better, but still losing a lot of HP because you don't have extra smite available to you. And no, please do wolves, at least before you base. What are you doing? Okay, get the plant. Alright, if you're going to clear into top side, then yeah, it's slightly more efficient. Okay, what are you doing? Now you're going for the red buff.
Much time.
Oh
I
no.
waste so much time here.
Okay. Zed should push the wave. You don't have flash, Zed should push the wave. If you're gonna go for dive. Ooh, he's bottom. Now you're having second guesses. Yeah, you can't really go straight for the dive. Malzahar has ulti. If Zed had ulti, you could just go straight for the dive because if Malzahar commits to ulting you, then Zed just kills him. Now you go here. Yeah, this is a pretty big waste of time. Zed commits for the kill, gets suppressed. He has to go back to Shadow here. Your pathing is really sad.
Yeah.
Don't get anything out of that. I don't even think you get XP out of the Malzahar kill. Nope. Wow, that's super bad. Okay, so this just goes back to, aside, like, even before all of this happens, this is you looking, and this is just like another thing that's like super present in a lot of junglers anywhere below, like, even like Diamond 3, I'd say. You just put way too much stock into ganking, and you don't put enough stock into just like doing what's consistent. Because here's the thing, you main jungle, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've had a lot of games where all your lanes lose and then you lose the game, right?
Yep.
And those games don't feel very good. They suck. And there's been, I'm sure you've had games where you just try to gank and the ganks just aren't there. Either your laners don't play it properly, or your laners pick terrible champions, or you picked a terrible champion. You just can't gank anything. You have games like that. The thing about that is the wolves always respawn in 2.5 minutes. Doesn't matter if you're playing Soraka jungle, doesn't matter if you're playing Lee Sin jungle, doesn't matter. The Gromp always respawns 2.5 minutes. Krugs, 2.5 minutes. Rafters, 2.5 minutes. Whenever you have a chance, like, to align, the only times you should ever put yourself when you have like a full, like when you can clear 2 quadrants, like you have the mana to do it, you have the HP to do it, you can clear, I mean, like the full quadrant, like the 2 camps of the quadrant at the same time. Like, you want them to have the same spawn timer every fucking time, because when they're up at the same time, or like they're up like right next to each other, then you always know that, and you always can set up your path to just like catch some camps before you do whatever you want to do next. Especially because these are the 2 camps that don't take as long as these 2 camps for most champions, generally speaking. So whenever you have a chance, you want to align these two. Multiple times this game, you just do one camp gank, one camp gank, one camp gank. And what happens is that you fall really far behind in XP if any of those ganks don't succeed. Sometimes you're in a position where you're in a you have to make a time sensitive play, whereas like the enemy laner is gonna catch like one more wave and he's gonna go back or something, or you know the enemy jungler is doing something right now and you can get a free gank off without a counter gank, and you know that if you're not gonna get counter gank, then the gank will succeed. Those are time sensitive plays. This is not a time sensitive play at all. You just go for this gank because you want to play punishing mid lane, which is like good that you identify like mid lane, easiest lane to punish. It's your lane that's winning the hardest, and you just want to chain gank it into oblivion to snowball the advantage. That is good, don't get me wrong, but you can't go about it in a way that just like handicaps yourself as much as you do here, because your red buff has been sitting up for quite a while now. Like, it's been up since like 7:40, 7:30, 7:30, and you just completely ignore it for at least like a minute before you, like, it's about 50 seconds before you even gank here. And on top of that, like I said, you leave your wolves up after doing Gromp, so you've misaligned their spawns again. So your next outing is just gonna suck because your camps are misaligned. And whenever you go to your bot side quadrant, you're only gonna get one thing. Like, obviously, like, you've already done the blue buff, so that's not gonna be up. And you just put yourself, when you enter your bot side quadrant again, you just don't have really many options unless you spend a ton of time on your top side, which isn't something that you really want to do at this stage of the game. So the idea, like, I understand that you're just trying to punish the mid lane. It's definitely a gank that could work, but it's not a time-sensitive gank, and you're already behind the Warwick. Normal pacing, I always tell people, you want to be 6 right after the buff, the first buff respawns, and like that's normal pacing. And if you're 6 on the buff kill or before the buff kill, then your pacing is really good. You're just like right at like the edge of like okay pacing, because I think you hit 6 right after the blue, the very bottom of 6. And the Warwick, because like of everything that's happened this game in the early game, double buff refresh on him, 2 kills, huge wave pushed into turret. He's got a huge EXP lead on you, which means that like once you get into, like, if you're not like properly farming, once you get into group stage, it's gonna be really hard for you to actually just like match him, which is like to just put in your head like even more wanting to just like set up your route properly and like get your camps cleared, because you're already behind, but you're still overcommitting to these ganks. When you play jungle, the most consistent thing you can do is path well, because it doesn't care. Pathing well doesn't care what champ you're playing, doesn't care if your laners are 0-10 or 10-0, doesn't care about anything. Like, when you path well, you path well. And that's always going to be consistent. No matter what the game state is, if you path well, you will get an EXP lead, you will get a gold lead, and once you have that obtained, it's way easier for ganks to go off without a hitch, because you're coming into lane with your gank from a power position, rather than like a, if this gank doesn't go well, then I'm super behind position. And that's what you want. You want your ganks to be able to fail and still be in a good position, rather than being reliant on your ganks to succeed. Otherwise, you're in trouble, because there's always going to be games where your ganks don't work. Either it's your laner's fault, your fault, or the enemy team is fucking smurf and they're beasts. You know, there's always going to be games like that where your ganks don't work for whatever reason. And if you don't learn how to path properly, or you don't path properly like out of choice because you just want to gank so much, then you're gonna lose. Because at the end of the day, like, you're putting all your eggs into one basket. The most important thing about like jungling or just like being consistent in the jungle, not even just like about jungling, because I'm not saying ganking isn't important, because ganking is important. But the thing is, people, like, you can learn how to gank and you can learn how to path at the same time. Like, and you want to be balancing both. You don't want to just like overload into ganks, which is what you've been doing like this whole early game. Like, ganking is only not even, I wouldn't even say half of jungling. Like, it's definitely like a big part of jungling, don't get me wrong, but it's not like more important than like learning how to path. They're about like the same amount of importance, and you definitely don't give them the same amount of importance from what I've seen during this game. You're definitely like overloading on the ganks, and whether that's because you never were like exposed to like how to path properly, or like you just actively think that like ganking is like superior, you need to fix it, because playing like this is just super inconsistent. Some games you're gonna pop off because all your ganks work and you're gonna feel like a god, and some games, maybe even this one, I haven't seen enough of it yet, like you're just not gonna get enough off and you're just gonna fall behind. And you're gonna be like, wow, I have like 3 kills and the enemy jungler has 1 kill. Why am I down 2 levels? And it's all just because you haven't been pathing properly. So now you go into top side, nothing really happened, like nothing left to do middle. Clear this out. Okay, so it's fine. Go get your red buff. This kind of sucks. You do have smite, so you can stay out, but you have quite a bit of gold in you. Oh no, why are you skipping your red buff?
I didn't want to waste its duration. That's why I need to recall into red.
Oh boy. Yeah, this is really rough. We'll talk about this after we see this gank. So Ribbon is just dead. Can't really do anything about that. Yeah. Okay. So the thing about, so this is once again, you've put yourself in a bad position. Because like the pathing. This one, you kind of have to stay out because you're already so far behind that if you take a base here, you just put yourself like even more further behind. The thing here is like you're forced to do this because you haven't been pathing properly up until this point, and now it's really gonna punish you because you don't want to waste your red buff like duration. I understand that. You don't want to waste your red buff duration because you need to base soon, but you put yourself in this position where if you don't get your red buff here, you have to walk back out onto your top side, which means you're walking out for 1 camp. You're walking into your quadrant of your jungle for 1 camp, which sucks. Whereas if you've been pathing properly, you just do your wolves, you do your gromp, and then you look for that mid lane gank, and that mid lane gank isn't there. Guess what? You can just hit recall and be like, I got 3 camps on my top side quadrant, I ain't even worried. Like, it's just so much better for you. But now, because you're in a position where you haven't been pathing properly, you have to make a, like, first off, I don't agree. Like, you're just too far behind. You can't afford to do that. And 2, like, it just sucks. Like, I'm sure even at this point during the game, you were realizing, like, wow. Like, even after you made the decision to like, hold on to the red just to get, like, the value out of it, it sucks to have to do that whenever you're in that position. And that's all because you haven't been pathing properly. You've been putting way too much stock into just, like, like, putting pressure onto the lane when it's not a time-sensitive gank to look for. And because of that, you're in a position where you're just having to make all these hard decisions. Catch this wave under turret for sure. As your top laner have TP, you hit... Oh, of course he doesn't have TP. He's fucking Ignite Riven. Sick.
Yeah. It's Ignite Riven, and then he took the Guardian Keystone.
Interesting.
That's why I wasn't worried about going up here at all most of this game. I just ignored it.
Okay. Catch all this. That's fine. No need to get the next wave. Just leave that. Okay. All your Krugs have despawned, so you just take a base here. Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about, where it's like, it just sucks. Because right now, you want to go get your red buff to get it off the map, right? But at the same time, like, your bot side is going to be respawning soon, so you have to do your red buff, and then you have to make all the way down, like, a trek to the bot side. And in a game where, like, you want to be, like, let's just say, like, theoretically you want to be top, like, that just fucking sucks. Because either you waste, like, uptime, like, either you leave your red buff on the map really long, or you path in a way that you don't want to path. If we were in a world where you want to get top lane. Obviously, this game you don't want to, but had you been in that position, this just sort of sucked for you. Okay, so you just pick up your Cinder Hulk, which is fine. Get red buff here, just fine. You can smite this or not, doesn't really matter. Okay, not to. Doesn't really save you that much time as Jax, to be honest, that's fine. Mid lane gank comes here. So he makes the same exact mistake as you. This is like, it's just so common. Look at the Zed here. Zed, okay, I guess he's cut off from the tower at this position, but it's like he's walking straight downwards into no vision. You know he has no vision because it's a control. And look what happens when you run into no vision ganks when your laner has minions at the turret. Oh shit, who would have guessed? You get fucking destroyed. He's level 8. He's got a shutdown, 4 kills, strongest person in this game. Or probably second strongest behind Zed. Doesn't have a fucking chance. when he walks into this because it's just a bad gank. It's just a bad gank. Flash onto this. Good. Oh, you hit the turret. Okay.
I was wondering if that could, like, what happens if he ults me out of that queue? Do I just drop or do I finish the travel?
You stop, but the damage goes through. So Jack's sleep strike is really weird in the sense that it'll always do the damage as long as you get past like as soon as you make it to the air, the damage will always trigger. At the basically the same time. Like the game once you're in the air, like oh god, I can't freeze frame in time. But basically the second you hit the air, as long as they don't stop you before like the jump actually puts you in the air, then the damage will always apply, but the suppress will stop you where you are. Suppress will stop you, stun will not.
So could this have gone bad then? Because I was worried about like looking back on it afterwards that if he had ulted me right away and like the damage from the Q then goes off and I get tower aggro, but I don't stun him because I was just worried about like maybe being able to die there.
Zed will kill him. Zed will kill him before you die. And if he ults you before your stun goes off, like let's say like right if you like right when you flash, you mean?
Like, cause like he sees me charging up the E, right? So it should be really obvious what I'm doing. So like he could just, I was worried about him just being able to click R on me and like his character runs towards me for a second until it's in range or whatever.
It's not really a problem because what ends up happening is like, okay, he ults you right here, you're not in tower range, right?
Yeah.
You're not in tower range, you're not, there's like edge of tower range. The only time you get in tower range is after you flash, and if he ults you, if he's got like reaction of God and he's just like queuing up the ult or something on you already, and he ults you right when you flash, before you get the jump off, then you're in a position where like you're eating turret aggro from right here. You can see where the flash dust is. You can just walk out afterwards. You're not gonna die to the turret that quickly. I will say though, before you go in here, you should be ulting, just so you take less damage from your turret. The thing about Jack's ult is like, in top lane, it's when you're playing top lane Jax, it's a bit more of a problem because you're exposed for a longer duration to the enemy laner with the ultimate down. But as jungle Jax, every fucking gank where you even have like a remote chance of dying, you just fucking instantly press R because it'll be up every single gank. It's a really low cooldown. So like when you got the mana, just fucking instantly ulti, just so less chance of dying. Even if you feel like you're not really afraid, the thing about this ult is like, look at this cooldown. Like 2 minutes is nothing. It's not even like your full camp respawn. Like it's up like every single gank, unless you're in a game where it's just like non-stop action. But in that case, like there's probably bigger problems. So help him get mid lane turret for first turret here. Really good. So I will say, pathing has been very suspect this game over ganks, definitely. But at the very least, the over ganks were you sticking to your pregame strategy and just a good strategy in general for solo queue, which is find the weakest link and make it so that he doesn't want to play League of Legends anymore, which is really good. You stuck to that too much, actually. I like most people I have to tell they don't do it enough. They're like, hey man, you get a gank, you get a gank, you get a gank, and then the enemy jungler is like, oh yeah, let me just go gank bot lane one time with my 2-level lead on you, and then take the turret, and then suddenly you lose. So you're like the opposite of that. You're like too many ganks. Like really good that you identify like, yeah, just chain gank one guy into oblivion, get first turret. Hell yeah, let's go. You do that like a little too much. Like you could afford to tone it down a little bit. Like if the ganks in this game were like all time sensitive, then I'd understand. But some of these ganks that you went for, you didn't have to go at that point, and you ended up getting punished for it. The first one, obviously, you died. The second one, he just killed them, and you didn't get an assist, and you could have been farming camps at that time. But it's good that you at least you understand that as a concept. That's really important. So now you have to go. What's up?
Just prioritize clearing the camps together, then the quadrants.
Yeah, basically. Like I'm not saying you have to just like, oh yeah, like just farm all the time. It's just like if you're gonna farm, like just do it together. So like you have options to you later on, and you don't fall so far behind. Like, cause in this game, like this Warwick has a level lead on you. I'll tell you this right now. Like this Warwick has a level lead on you up until, like he still has a level lead on you, right? He dies here, and then you get level 8 at the very end of this, I think. Right after you guys finish off this wave together, or after the turret. Okay, basically after the turret, you hit level 8. If this Warwick had not been an ape, and he'd been pathing properly and he didn't die here, he'd be level 10 right now. If you switch this Warwick up with like you put like a high level jungler in the position he was in, he'd be level 10. You would never catch up. He'd be level 10. He'd 1v9 this game, just straight up, because that's what that champion does with elite. He would just be unstoppable. 1v1 the Zed, everything. Like this guy has these items. He'd have like completed jungle item in Tiamat, and maybe even like a Ruby Crystal too if he'd been pathing properly this game. Like with the fucking lead that he got early on, double buff refresh, 2 kills, 2.5 waves pushed in a turret. You should never ever recover from this. Like basically, like he should just take the game over from that position on, but he doesn't because he's in the elo for a reason. Like when you path properly, the lead that you get over people who don't path properly is fucking ridiculous. Like nobody paths properly up until like even like I've coached Diamond 3 junglers. They path the same way as you. They do one camp, they see a gank that has a remote chance of succeeding, and they're like, let's fucking go. Like, that's not how you jungle. That's how, like, you can get to a certain elo playing that way. Like, if you have, like, god mechanics and you play, like, the right champions to supplement that, you can definitely climb with that. But you're gonna run into a point where if you don't know how to path, it's gonna hit you, it's gonna hurt you. There's plenty of, like, even when I smurf in just, like, Diamond 3 and, like, when I smurf in, like, Platinum, whatever, like, I don't get 20 kills. I don't need to get 20 kills. I'll end the game 7-0 instead of 20-0, and I'll have way more gold than the Smurfs who play jungle Lee Sin and just get 20 kills. Because at the end of the day, pathing properly is actually just worth that much. Like, at the very least, like, I'm not saying you have to do, like, full clear quadrants where it's just like, okay, like, I want to, like, let's just say I want to gank bottom, you start Krugs, you do Rafters, and then you just look after that. If ball is gankable, no. Do wolves, look, not gankable, you do Gromp, no. Like, I understand, sorry, I understand that in elos below, like, I'll just use Diamond 3 again, like, it is more bloody, you know, like, people die a lot more in just, like, unassisted laning because people aren't as good at their champions.
A lot more mistakes to exploit.
Yeah, so I understand that. So I'm not expecting you to just do, like, full jungle clear-throughs, which is why I like to call it, where it's just, like, you clear camp, look, clear camp, look, clear camp, look, because a lot of the time, what's going to end up happening is you can just do 2 camps and then gank, because 1, the enemy jungler won't punish you enough for it, and 2, the enemy laners are probably playing in a position so bad that it'll probably work most of the time, so that's fine. But you just do at the very least, get out of the habit of just like doing 1 camp and misaligning the spawn with the other camp on that quadrant, because what ends up happening is if you die in that gank, or if that gank doesn't work, then you put yourself in a position where you either have to go into one side of the map to clear, because your other camps, you only have 1 up and they're unaligned, or you cripple yourself by doing that 1 camp, and you just miss out on EXP, which is why, at the very least, you want to be doing quadrant clears instead of single camp clears. So, looking for bottom here. Probably the second best lane to go to because your top laner is Hardenting. So you want to clear here. You want to clear your wolves here, mainly because 1, you want some downtime before blue. But well, you do want to look at bottom first because bottom looks like shit's going down. And yeah, okay, shit is definitely going down. They are dead. Zed doesn't get here in time. So basically, the reason I say you wanted to do that is because 1, oh fuck, I went the wrong way. 1, the blue buff, you want to grab it after wolves, and if you do Gromp into wolves, I believe the blue buff will come up like right around then. And 2, who's the strongest guy on your team right now?
Zed.
Exactly. Can the Malzahar stop Zed from pushing?
No.
Okay. So what you can do is you wait for Zed to push out the wave, because he just came back from base. He's just spent his like 4 million gold that you've given him, and he's really, really strong. He's got to clear out these minions real quick, and then he can move to make a play. So you want to just do, okay, so he should actually clear the next wave. What ends up happening is your bot lane makes a really bad play here. All your bot lane needs to do here is just not die and then just wait for Zed to be in a position to come down, because Zed actually wants to clear this wave. And if Zed clears this, like, Zed can clear this wave If Malzahar tries to stop him from clearing this wave, he kills Malzahar and then clears the wave. So he just needs like 10-20 seconds to get this wave pushed. Then he has mid priority and he can roam, and then you guys can 4-man bottom. In an ideal world, this is what happens instead of your bot lane getting TP'd on by trying to push when your mid laner has all the advantage in the world and can get priority the second they give them 20 seconds to work with. But instead, they get TP'd on and they die. So not really much to say here. Not really salvageable. Zed is inting. Oh god. It's gonna get that kill. Wow, they didn't polymorph him on that. Holy fuck. I can't believe that happened. He's still dead, but wow. He literally got away with murder. And you should just walk out here. But yeah.
Did she have polymorph up?
Oh yeah, she uses it on him like right after. Cause like he has polymorph right there.
Oh.
Yeah. Like he just acts like the Lulu like the Lulu just like actually hard trolls because like she walks away from Zed thinking the Zed's going for her. And then like the Zed just ults Fade. Whereas like he should actually just like the Lulu should just actually just walk up to Zed because what ends up happening like the Zed has no shadow. Like they know he doesn't have shadow. So she should just walk up to him and poly. Because even if he ults him, like if he walks up to Zed and Zed just ults before he polys, then as soon as Zed lands, he just polys him then. And then they just kill Zed. Because Zed's in the middle of all of them getting polyed instead of being able to get skilled and ult out. But yeah, just going into this play just like completely dumb. Like by everyone's like standard. Like red flag number 1 is like when your bot lane's dead and you should be like, alright, this play is over. I would like maybe stick around just to see like if Zed wants to end. But the thing about like this is like no matter what you do here, it shouldn't really have an effect on how it plays out. Because this is a one-way trip. Just like straight up, this is a one-way trip, regardless of what you do. You could be farming your wolves right now, and if this play happens, like you probably don't change anything about this play. They don't even look at you right now, like because like this is such a dumb play from the Zed. Like what you do here just doesn't matter. I understand you kind of want to be here just in case like there's a kill to clean up, and that's understandable. But just like at the end of the day, when you see something like this happen, where like no matter what you do at the end of the day, probably doesn't impact the outcome of it. You kind of just don't want to bother, and you want to spend your time doing more productive things, which in this case is just like farming camps. Yeah, because the worst case scenario is exactly what happens here. You end up dying, and now you've left your camps up for a long time without farming, and you've already been behind the Warwick. Like, low percentage plays, or plays that you don't have an impact on, like this one, like I understand coming down. Like don't get me wrong, coming down once the play started was fine because you weren't 100% sure they were getting TP'd on until like at that point like you kind of just have to be here. And then once Warwick shows up, now you can leave because this is over. This like you can't do anything for him. Like Zed isn't gonna make it in time. And if Zed wants to kill himself, like that shouldn't be of your concern. You should in your head it should be they have 4 people bottom. Our bot lane's dead. Zed isn't gonna make it in time. To really do anything. Malzahar's missing 2. Just go farm. Like, don't waste your time here. This tower is gone. You've already got first turret, so you don't need to worry about defending it for like top lane to get first turret or something. It's already off the map as an objective. You just give this up and you go farm. You have all of your camps up. You get a huge lead, or at least like some lead because you're right now currently behind the Warwick. You can catch up to him and maybe get a little bit of a lead because he's gonna spend time here pushing the wave bottom in and sharing EXP and hitting the turret, whereas you can spend all this time farming instead of wasting, look how much time you end up wasting, because you clear Gromp, let's look at this, okay? 12:20. You spend so much time down here and then you die. When's the next time you get to your camp? Oh no, did you just walk straight out? Holy fuck. Oh no, this is even worse than I thought. Oh no, you still haven't farmed. Oh no, we're still looking for ganks. 12:20, remember that time. 12:20. It's 14:25 now. Kill in vain, because he's in thing. Alright. Dude, oh no, doing dragon. Oh god. Oh no. Oh no, even more time. Oh god. I don't even. Your grump is back up. Your grump is fucking back up. It's been so long. Jeez. Okay. You finish your grump at 12:20, and that's the last camp you even start until 15:12. It's been so long that your grump is respawned. You can
Yeah.
full clear your jungle in a minute and a half. Full clearing your jungle gives you 1.5 to 2 levels, depending on what respawn of every camp it is.
But do you think that decision there to go bot again after what was happening and doing the dragon was wrong, or is it just that I
Well,
should have farmed earlier?
let's take a look first. Okay, so this is after. Is this before? Okay, no. So okay, we've already talked about this play. So what? Okay, let's see what makes it so that you really just want to, because you definitely were attending first to get blue buff. So
Yeah.
so the intent was fine. What ends up happening? So they're fighting an ape fight. Oh my god, this is a terrible. Oh my, what am I seeing? He's dead.
See?
He's dead. No,
Like I didn't understand how that binding missed.
they're dead. They're dead. Don't even bother.
So now I'm leaving.
Okay, he's dead. He's straight up dead.
Leaving. But Zed still says that he's going, so I went to help Zed.
God, dude. Okay, this is forced. Your hand is forced here by Zed, so this is up until now fine. Okay. Skip the dragon. You can't do dragon here. It's just too much of a time commitment.
Right.
When you're this far behind. The thing is, dragon gives you like less EXP or comparable EXP to one small camp, and obviously it takes like way more time investment. You're not in a position right now where you can even guarantee you're gonna get any mileage at all out of this dragon. This was like Infernal Drake. You get it off the map because you don't want to give it to them, and you know you'll get some mileage out of the Infernal Drake. No one is helping you here because that has to catch mid. Your bot lane is respawning. This takes you so long. Like let's fucking count the timer on how long this takes you. Because you start this at 40. You don't have Sheen yet. You don't have Stinger yet. So you're missing a lot of CDR on your W. So your damage on this is way down. No Sheen procs, no CDR. So way longer cooldown on your W. No blue buff CDR. You do have Cinder Hulk, so this makes it a little bit more bearable. But you start this at 40. You don't finish this until, oh god. Holy fuck. 05. 25 seconds. You could clear 2.5 camps in 25 seconds because you have to walk back into your jungle now too. And if you get fought like walking back into your jungle, you're wasting more time. Like, you're already behind the Warwick in level. And here's the thing, you've been behind the Warwick in level. Because he's level 10 here. Okay? He's level 10 here before any of this happens. And he gets 2 kills. 2 kills at level 10. And then you guys don't even kill him here because he gets out. And you get the Vayne kill, right? Or, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, he did. I thought
Yeah.
he did.
So he gets to go farm now while you're doing all this. Very real chance he comes out at level 11. And like I said, he hasn't been pathing properly this game either. Like, he could come out level 11, level 12, and then he's just, like, rolling over the game. And I come up, like, I agree. Like, jungle EXP, when you're talking about, like, competitive and stuff, like, the level of the jungler, yes, that doesn't matter. When you're playing solo queue and you're trying to be consistently ahead and just, like, in a position where you can carry every game, like, it does matter. Not always like in relative to like the enemy jungler, because like let's just say both of you are 1v5ing and like you're both like, let's say like at this stage of the game, like let's see, what level is it on your team? Let's say you're 11, he's 12, so like you're not behind, he's just like enormously ahead. That isn't as big of a deal. But in this position, he's ahead and you're behind. Like you don't ever want to be like the same level. Like you want to be like level 10, like at least level 10 in this position. And if you're consistently like looking to like climb and play well every game, like you should be trying to hold yourself to like the same level as like your solo laners. Like if you want to just like have like if your solo laners aren't like obscenely fed, in which case the Zed is right now, you want to try to at least be at like the same level as your solo laners. Just to like benchmark like where you are in the game. So this gank is fine. You are way too late. Yeah, same thing as before. You just want to R immediately because it's a low cooldown and it stops a lot of damage. The red smite is also late because you want this red smite like immediately. One, to mitigate the damage, and two, so you get the procs going ASAP. Like second you first auto goes off, red smite instantly, R instantly. The second you start putting damage on. Like honestly, like as soon as you walk up to him, you should be pressing R. This shit lasts forever. Like it's a super long duration. Because if you press red smite here instantly, you press R, what ends up happening is you fight him here, and you have like an extra 100, 200 HP, and you can feel safe to just flash W auto, and he's dead. And you'd be able to walk out, clean solo kill, even without Zed being awake. So just like another thing, like just get in the habit of like just minute thing for Jax. Like use your ult very liberally. You don't care about your ultimate cooldown at all.
Okay.
So here, don't auto attack the small wolves when you have Cinder Hulk. You don't need to. Your E and your Cinder Hulk will kill them for sure. Especially if you're doing Emax second, which I do like in this game. Okay. And base. Okay, yeah, this is fine. I probably would have been greedy here and just like full cleared out the top side because I'm behind, because you're behind in this case, and it gets you a better buy because you can buy Stinger and you can buy Sheed, and then you can sell your refill and buy Control because you're like, I believe Stinger combined is 300. It might be 400. I think it's
I
400
was just
actually.
worried about Warwick seeing the trail and running me down, so I wanted to get out of there.
I think you just saw him somewhere. Yeah, he's bottom, so he's not gonna run you down in your top side jungle. Because he kills Caitlyn. So you should know you're pretty fine. And if you get the red buff, you'll be healing. At this point in the game, like there really isn't a way to like waste the red buff like duration because like you're not in lane phase anymore. You kind of just get the red buff down as ASAP, so your AD carry can't take it, or you just do it so you can get efficiency on like the uptime of it. And Stinger's actually 500. I'm an idiot. Okay. You probably could have gotten it if you sold refill and skimped out on control, but not the worst thing in the world. So now you should go to Krugs. Go to Krugs. No. Yeah, even with red buff off. I mean, I guess you can do red buff into Krugs then down, but generally I just do Krugs and clear down. It's just you just want to end the best place, the most central place, which is Wolves. Because now you don't want to go to Krugs because it's just too far out of the way. And once again, one camp ganking. No, no. Yeah. Okay. Mid lane's fighting. Yeah, you should be watching that closer. And once again, look what I like. You don't get a part of the gank, and now you're wasting your time again. Once again, like not time sensitive. Don't need to go. Just clear your camps. Okay. And that's okay. So this. I'll watch like a few team fights, but like this is probably the point in the game where it's not super relevant to talk about everything that's going on now because team fights are dumb and change every single game. Okay, I don't even know what's going on at this point. So Zed should be split pushing bottom. You guys, your bot lane should be top trying to get turret. You're ulting really late. You don't even ult.
Yeah.
And this is over. Your Zed should just clean them up here. Okay, you can just farm your camps before you base. No, farm your camps. Yeah, you just don't farm enough. Like you're playing a jungler who needs too much gold to be playing the way you are. Like you're playing like you're Lee Sin when you're playing Jax. Like you gotta put more investment into yourself. Like you're just handicapping yourself this whole game with the base timings and the paths that you're taking. Okay, obviously just do these two. Like this is so late for Trinity Force. Like, and you don't even have Phage yet. Like you should have had Trinity Force like 3 to 4 minutes ago, and you're not even close to it at this point. That's how far behind you are in terms of like how well you've passed this game. Okay, so we're just gonna watch like a team fight or two. All right, perfect. What happens here? Because we're past the part of the game where like we can just like talk about concepts. What happens here? You don't press R, you get condemned. I'm pretty sure you're dead on this condemn.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. It's too far forward. Let's watch a real team fight. Okay, here we go. This looks like a promising real team fight. Stay on the dragon, smite it. Good. Press your R. Don't press your R. Oh, okay, okay. Not the latest, not the latest. Hit what your team is hitting. Good, 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 good. With the vein. Okay, good. Play with your team, play with your team. Boom. Good shit. Go to Baron. What are you guys doing? No, you guys are trolling. Oh my god. What the fuck? Alright, okay, so they're all respawned now. Okay. Baron, not aggroed. Okay, you don't have to walk in. It's not aggroed. You don't have E. What? Run the fuck away. That guy is a raid boss. Back up. Good. Okay, quick thing to note. Baron, when you're face checking it, and you know the HP, don't face check it. If it's full HP, don't bother. When it's like 8,000 HP, you just chill right here. You don't want to commit until they're 3k, because in solo queue, it's a fucking mess. You know, no one really knows, are we pulling off or are we turning? Very rarely will that ever be like coordinated. So you generally just want to wait until, sometimes you have to go as early as 5k if they burn it really fast, but generally 3k, because at that point they've taken a lot of damage from the Baron, and then usually there'll at least be like 1 or 2 people who are confused and they're like, oh, the Baron's at 3k, do we finish it? And then like some people will like try to finish it and they just won't do any damage in the team fight. Or like some people, or they'll just be like, sometimes like it'll be like, sometimes they'll like say beforehand like finish, or like someone will type it like in the middle of it, like during all the fucking chaos, and then they'll like overcommit to finishing it, because like at 3k, like you can't finish it that fast unless it's really late in the game. Especially like at this point in the game, there's no way they're burning it at 3k, and if you go at that point, they're like all like stuck trying to like finish the Baron, and they're like stuck in the pit. You can just kill them all and win a team fight. Even if they end up getting the Baron, it's not that big a deal usually. Or like they make like a half-ass turn, because not everyone understands if they're turning or not. If you go at like that HP, you don't ever want to face check this early on, because the decision is made for them. Because like if it's full HP, obviously they're just gonna turn on you, because like they can't finish the Baron. They haven't even fucking started the Baron. So once you see them not start the Baron here, you should just be waiting, either to group with your team to like walk in then, or just like wait for them to actually start the Baron before you commit to anything. Because you don't have to do anything. That's the great thing about being in this position. And that Guardian, I completely forgot he had it. That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay. Caitlyn is inting. Jump out. Oh god.
Yeah.
That is. Press E. You should just press D. You have actually been okay. And that's that. Yeah, you guys you walked too far forward when you didn't need to. The Baron wasn't started yet. That gets 1 kill. Should be able to save the game here. And 4 dead. Alright, you guys gotta know to do Baron, right? Yes! Woo! Let's go. Free Baron. Warwick's dead. No smite. Yeah, let's go. Who's alive? Their Vayne just respawned. Can't really steal it. Malzahar's up. Who's your top laner? I don't even remember. Echo. He probably won't steal it. Okay. Good shit. Don't miss a smite. Boom. Don't even know where Echo is. There he is. Okay, you're good. Recall out. Alright, your team kind of trolled you. That's fine. I think you're a little late on the recall, maybe? Let me just make sure. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Kind of just curious. Finish it. Okay, yeah, you're a little late. I think you get caught here regardless, though. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that happens. Unfortunate. Baron on Jax is actually insane, but unlucky. Okay. I guess you've been called to the task to stop the Echo because your ribbon is not there. Okay, so you actually have to chase him in this scenario. I understand you probably don't get put in this position very often, having to hold the enemy top laner split as the jungler.
Yeah,
Basically, you just have to chase him. I know you're missing minions, but you have to chase him because 1, you don't want him TPing on your team bottom, and 2, you don't want him walking on your mid inhibitor here. So you kind of just have to give up the wave, which really sucks, and just chase him, because leaving him alone is too big of a problem because of what he can do. Either he TPs down bottom and wins their team that fight, and you don't have the ability to stop the TP because you had to chase him, or he just walks mid and kills your inhib like he does here with his Lich Bane. Your team ends up winning the fight, which is good. But yeah, in this scenario, you just kind of have to chase him and then just like try to get away from. Like you just want to walk towards him basically. You don't have a ward unfortunately, but basically you kind of just want to walk towards him and with the stun to like or like just be close enough to him that you can walk towards him and stun to cancel TP. And then when he turns onto you, you wait for him to like use his spells and then you just jump away and hope to God that you survive. Because at the end of the day, like he's probably the strongest person on your team. Let me try to get a scoreboard pull up from you. I don't think I saw one. Okay, there's like trying to like look through the VOD. Fucking YouTube. Alright, I guess you pull up the scoreboard like right here, I guess. I think it's a little bit outdated, but the effect is the same. Oh, Jesus. Do you really not? Alright, fuck it. It's not that important. Basically, at this point in the game, what should be going through your head is that your team has a higher chance of winning a 4v4 fight with you not there and Echo not there than they do of winning a 5v5 fight with both of you there, because the Echo is stronger than you right now. Because he's like level 15 or 16. Yeah, 15. You're 13. So if he's there, your team has a lower chance of winning the fight. So you just kind of want to chase him so that he can't get to the fight. Because you, like, even if he ends up killing you, like, as long as he doesn't make it to the fight, you've done your job. Because your job is to stop him from coming so your team can win the fight. So yeah, that's in that situation, you just want to chase. Basically, like, you want to get to the fight if you're stronger, and if the enemy person that you're matching is stronger, then you just want to chase. There's just like a general concept that you want to be aware of. Echo goes in here. Kill him. Oh, Caitlyn. Don't get... Oh. Quality. Yeah, you're in a really awkward position here. Okay, to Morg. Go to him. Nice. Okay, that's fine. Back up. Yep, no black shield anymore. Whatever. Okay. Oh no, what are you? What the hell? Okay, yeah, you'd have no control here. Definitely don't do this, dragon. if it was like maybe not Ocean Drake, then you could maybe get away with this play. But yeah, that Drake slows you a million. So yeah, don't ever try to do that.
Yeah.
It's
I wouldn't have normally done that, but somebody pinged me to do it, so I just did it. I don't know.
Okay, and then this game looks like this game ends pretty standard ending. I think AD carry gets caught and we lose. Pretty common one. How does he get caught? Okay, yeah, nothing important. Alright, we got a team fight. Looks like we're team fighting. Once again, second the damage starts, or the second you jump in, you should just be ulting. Okay, you have to jump in now with your E. Oh yeah, immediately ulted. Go in with your ult. Oh no, you don't press ult. Yeah, okay. That's a recurring thing. That is hard trolling.
Yeah, he just gave up at this point.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. In conclusion, you definitely put too much emphasis onto ganking over your quality pathing. At least start doing quadrant clears instead of single camp clears before ganking. There are exceptions, time-sensitive ganks, or like time-sensitive ganks, either because you know where the enemy jungler is, or the enemy laner is on a back timing scene, or the enemy laner is just pushed up this one time. Whatever. If it's time-sensitive, okay, like you go for it. But aside from those, you just want to be quadrant clearing before you gank instead of single camp. Second thing, like specifically Jax, like you need to be more liberal with your ultimate. A lot of times just weren't using it properly. Other thing, you need to be watching your laners a lot more. Many times this game, portraits were very close and lanes were fighting, but you never looked down to see what was going on. So outside of very early on where you were self-watching sums and pinging, or other people were pinging sums for you before they tilted off the face of the earth, you really had no info on sums to alter the way you play ganks out. just be watching your laners closer. Like you don't need to be like very focused on jacks, like on your character when you're clearing his jacks. It's very simple. You just auto attacks a lot. You press W when it's up. You don't ever really use Q to clear until like unless it's like you have blue buff and that's how you're getting to the camp. So like just in general, like you press E when it's up, you press W when it's up. You don't need to be watching yourself when you're clearing. Be watching your lanes. And the good, you definitely understand the concept of punishing a weak lane. You definitely understand pre-gaming, which is like just deciding where you're gonna go before, and you stuck to that. So that's really good. Make sure you stay in the habit of that, and just start implementing the other things, and you'll be fine. Because understanding that concept is one that's pretty tough for a lot of people. The pathing thing is, like I said, very common enemy junglers, or very common in junglers in the elo, very common in junglers in general. So just start putting um, start putting some practice into that habit and get out of the habits that you currently have. It's all about finding a balance. Like I said, I'm not saying you never gank. It's just that you want to make sure you're ganking when it's a time where it's like opportune for you, or at the very least you won't be losing too much. And also get into the habit of benchmarking your EXP, like and making sure like you're level 6 right after killing first respawn of buffs, or shoot to be level 6 before the first respawn of buffs, but that's really really hard. So pretty much every game you want to at least try to be level 6 after you clear the first respawn of the buff, because that's good pacing. If you're not level 6 after that, you're probably on bad. Like I'll just say it, right, like if you're 6 before you clear the buff, really good. 6 after you clear the buff, good. 6 after the buff in one camp, average-ish, but you don't want to aim for average, you want to aim for good. And if you're not 6 after clearing a buff and the 2 camps in that quadrant of the jungle, you're fucking behind, go far. So you want to just get those benchmarks into your head, and then just slowly start implementing everything we've talked about. You have any questions before we finish up?
I just wanted to talk to you about your Patreon,
Okay.
because you have on there that there's like the $10 per month and then the $20 per month.
Yeah.
And it says it includes like an hour of coaching a month or whatever.
Yes, $10 is one hour, $20 is 2 hours per month. It's cheaper than the single sessions because it's more consistent for me.
Okay, so would it just like it's by the hour of coaching? It's pretty much just what we just did.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
The way I'll do VOD reviews like this is like if you give me a 60-minute VOD review, then obviously I'm not gonna go through the full 60 minutes.
Yeah.
Before like I basically when people like I do VOD reviews, like I don't care like what is this session at right now? Like 1 hour 17, 1 hour 18. Sorry, I dropped my phone. That's whatever because I just talk about what I see. You know, if I have to spend more time covering the concept and I go 20 minutes over, I go 30 minutes over, then oh well, you know. But like if I like it started getting to the point where like people saw that and they're just like, hey, how about I just bring a 50-minute video? And I was like, okay, like I'm not doing 2 hour sessions for an hour. So if you bring like a long VOD, then I'm gonna have to skim through a bit more of it. Probably gonna be like the latter half of the game because team fights are just not really conducive to talk about. Like, let me just like give an example. It's like, oh, like this team fight was let's see what happened here.
What about later game macro
like,
decisions?
oh yeah, those for sure. But it's just like a lot of later game is just like team fighting like this. Like the Baron thing was like a macro thing, right? Like you just go in too early and then you guys get caught because you're split, and then yeah, like we could talk about that. But it's just like, what is there really to talk about here? Like they get away from your stun, you don't press ultimate, you died. Like there's nothing much to talk about. So that's that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a lot of the sessions, like for jungle at least, will be like we'll probably spend like 90% of the session just like in the early game talking about everything because like this is the part of the game that is the most important to get down.
Yeah. And then so say I was to do the $10 thing, like do I then have that 1 hour at the like right away, or does that like apply at the end of the month?
Patreon charges at the end of the month, so it would be at the end of the month.
Okay, so just like whenever it charges.
Yeah, and then you can use it anytime within 3 months. And like
Okay.
I'll just for the if you don't like for whatever reason, let's say like you don't have like your computer blows up and you can't play League for a month, so you don't want to do a session, like I'll let you bank it up to like 3 months. And then
Okay.
you can use all three in like 1 month after you have it banked or whatever. It doesn't really matter to me.
Okay, and I just message you on Discord to talk about scheduling that whenever I want to do that.
Yep.
Okay,
Anytime.
sounds good.
Right.
Thank you for the session. That was very helpful.
No problem. Good luck with your games, man.
Thanks.